As Nigerians continue to grapple with the challenges of food inflation, it is clear that a more comprehensive and coordinated approach is needed. According to experts, this approach is not limited to investment in agricultural research and development, but also includes addressing the underlying structural issues that have contributed to the country's food security challenges. But what are some of these issues? Well, let's get talking now. He joins me live from our Abuja studios. He's an agribusiness coach, Africa farmer, Mogaji. Good afternoon. It's good to see you from that side.
Good afternoon. Good to hear from you. I'll see you too.
Yes, no farmer, no future. I think the inscription on your shirt already picks up where my conversation should start from. What's been happening around this space? Food inflation is above 40% as we speak, and a lot of interventions are coming from left, right, and center. But the prices in the market seems to it seems to be the same. Everyone is talking about the hike of more than 100%. Can you state to us, what are these challenges? What did we not do right? What has happened to all the interventions?
Well, I would say this. Since the time we moved back to political system, we've often had some challenges. And the challenges are, we seem to think we know what we should do, and we don't get the relevant stakeholders. We really don't bring the practitioners on board when we are coming to design programs. Or we bring them on board, just hear what they want to say, and implement what works for the people coordinating. That is a fundamental issue. Then two, is we talk about food security, but we focus on food production. Food production is just to produce, to be able to rear animals, get tomatoes, peppers, corn out. Food security has to do with logistics. How does logistics affect the food? How does dollar affect input? How does distribution affect? What is even the mindset of the people? Let me narrow it a little into rice. We want to produce rice. We've funded rice a lot. But guess what? Are we funding the farmers with the inputs of the rice that the market wants? We're forcing rice varieties that the market really does not want. So when things balance up a little, people go back to what they want. Most of the rice we grow locally, yes, we're going to be patriotic, but most of this rice, either they go soggy if you cook them too much. This is not what the market wants. We always don't design products that fit the market. It's always not from the market perspective. We look at an aspect, narrow into it, fund it, months later to just find out that we don't have the right strategy. And secondly is policy. We talk about policy stability forever in the country. Policy has been changing, and unfortunately in Nigeria, statements becomes policy most times. A statement is just something altered. But in Nigeria, it becomes policy. Everybody adapts to it, and it keeps somersaulting. And it has also been somersaulting in the last 1 year. One statement comes out, 30 days later, 60 days later, it changes. It's a function of we are always using wrong information. And wrong diagnosis will always lead to wrong treatment, which may cause damage to the patient. That is what is causing damage to the agricultural sector, wrong diagnosis.
So does it mean that those saying that if we don't have a comprehensive data or needed data, we might not be able to plan? And of course, investors, policymakers, we don't want to get into the sector if we don't have this data. Just recently, before you answer that question, MBS came up with a figure saying about 40.2 million agricultural households now practice household crop cultivation. So if we don't have data like this, how can we plan?
Well, let me say this, without disrespect to the authorities coordinating data. I want to find out how they got those data. Because most times, one of the reasons why we have a challenge, like I said again, wrong diagnosis. I grow tomatoes in my house, I grow, a few of my people grow things. How did they capture that? I didn't tell anybody. I have the seeds. In fact, the seeds I'm using is over a year with me. How did they capture that? I'm sure that this data, we need to challenge most of the data we use. And that's where we have issues. When you say 40 point something million, who gave that voluntary data to you? I can say that if 40 point something million are growing seeds, then it will reflect in the seed companies. Our data needs to be upgraded. We don't have the data. We need data. But data also is just a component of it. If you have data, implementing that data is another, battle in the country. Because most of the people we will work with are unschooled, not uneducated. They are unschooled, but they are educated in what they need to do. So bottom line is that when we even have the data, we generalize. And so generalizing also is another issue, because culture and mindset, I have not seen it brought into strategy for food security in Nigeria. We eliminate culture, we eliminate religion. And these are two key things that politicians put first before they put in strategy. If we are going to feed people, we must bring culture, we must bring religion, we must bring a couple of things to be able to plan and strategize to know what will work. What works in Ghana is not working here. What works in India is not working here. But when we are going to put strategy together, we are always bringing those external factors. We have not put together strategies that will work for Nigeria. And that is something we need to pay attention to. I've always said it. What you call food in the north, mostly grains, rice, is not food in the south. It is cassava, it is pounded yam. Okay, so we need to really plan appropriately. We need to sit on the table and plan. But we don't also have that time again, because the price of food is really getting out of hand, and I'm not seeing any strategy currently that can solve it in the immediate term.
In the immediate term, African farmer, that is really getting scary. We need to identify these strategies and see how we can begin to execute them from the short to the medium and to the long term. We're going to talk about that before we wrap up this conversation. But let's touch on insecurity, storage, and value addition.
Yes. You see, insecurity is real. It does not affect everywhere in the country. The places we have insecurity, there are locations where we can provide, the government can provide security, or create platforms where the private sector can leverage, can have accessible security at very good costs. Okay, so that way we can pay for it, because getting your security to move around is also very expensive. It's affecting, but not as bad as is being projected. The food we still eat, we don't have enough. If we focus on productivity, leveraging on the areas that we can manage the security, will still be food secure. When it comes to value addition, Nigeria may not be able to add any value to anything right now, because we are not producing enough of anything, from cassava to tomato, gari, name it, corn, sorghum, millet. All those things are brought into the country, so we don't have, processors are folding up. That's the reality. Just like poultries are folding up, processors are folding up. So value addition is not something that, we should be talking about now, but it's something we should be planning for. If the strategies government is talking about comes into place, we should be able to produce more. But I'm not seeing strategies that will feed us. We have less than 30 days to be able to secure our food systems and reduce any scarcity or crisis October, November. That I'm not seeing currently. Less than 30 days. In fact, within the next 15 days, if no implementation, then what we see within tomato and peppers, we are going to see it is inevitable if we don't dash to take the right steps now.
Africa farm out there, I touched on value addition, and we need to project. We need to look ahead and start to look. You know where I'm headed. We can't have this much cocoa and bring in chocolates, millions of dollars. We have the facility here. We should be able to do something here. But well, like you said, one step before the other. I think we need to crawl before we start to work. Let's now identify some of these strategies, like I said earlier, in straight terms, and how we really need to get on them and get it right.
Well, in terms of strategy, part of the challenges I have and a few other practitioners is when we deliver strategy on national television, it's copied and implemented, not knowing it's a cocktail. So one strategy is to focus on the farmers, not the rural farmers that we normally focus on. There are so many youths in the rural communities that we can support now. There are so many SMEs who have lost money, in trying to be patriotic, either lack of information, many abandoned farms across the country. We need to focus on the SMEs or individuals who have invested in agribusiness and have shut down or have challenges. Many of them have facilities. We need to fund that facility because we can monitor and manage and evaluate. If we focus on the rural farmers proper now, we will not be food secure. But a core thing is that we need to reduce our attention on what we call the smallholder farmers who are old. They say you can't teach old dog new tricks. We need to redefine who a farmer is, who a rural farmer is, who a smallholder farmer is. If we redesign that because of the looming food crisis, then we'll be able to, provide strategies that work. Currently, if we don't go that route, we won't be food secure. We need to, all the funds that get to the rural farmers have not been productive over time, partly because of M&E. But right now, we need to go after SMEs who have also given up, whose policies have affected their businesses. We need them now because they depend on it. The rural farmers don't depend on this. So reduce attention on rural farmers, pay attention on rural projects run by SMEs and support the youths and understand that not everybody should be a farmer. We need more people who will go into distribution and production. That is very crucial. And also we need a major strategy I'm not seeing currently. We need to leverage media. We need to work with the media, with people in media, to be able to get the right narratives. Everything coming out is negative, negative, negative. This current crisis we have, it's not supposed to be a crisis. It's supposed to be an opportunity. We have not been amplifying the opportunities. To produce rice that we need, billions of naira will go into fertilizer, we'll go into bulldozer, we'll go into diesel to operate the bulldozer, the tractors, to fund the trailers that will move. There are tires. We need to be able to project opportunities than crisis. Currently, what I see, we're trying to manage crisis. We're trying to reduce prosperity, reduce poverty, instead of amplifying prosperity. If the government focuses on amplifying the prosperity that will be unlocked and the commonwealth that will be created, we will feed this country. People will come in. But when we are focused on poverty and reducing the crisis, we won't go ahead. You can't look up and down at the same time. If the government focuses on amplifying the opportunities, all the private sector and institutions and individuals will find their place. Water will find its route. That is a strategy missing. If they get that right, we will turn this tide around. Creating commonwealth through the crisis should be our focus now.
Brilliant conversation and submission as usual. I must thank you so much, our African farmer, Mogaji, agribusiness coach, for your contributions, particularly to this very strategic sector, agriculture. Thank you so much. And again, no farmer, no feature, and it's on your shirt. I really do admire that. Do enjoy your weekend. I hope hopefully you're back to Lagos and we get to see. Enjoy yourself.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
All right, coming up on the show, let's shift our focus to continue